Hey everybody, welcome to episode 33. We never determined a name. Nick, do you have a name?
The Sega episode.
The Sega episode. Welcome to episode 33, the Sega episode. So in this episode, we talk about the big news with Sega and that they're kind of closing up.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're going to just concentrate on the digital stuff. Some of the smaller releases. Sounds like they're backing out of the major game and console releases. We're not sure if Sega Amusements will be affected yet, but we're kind of figuring it will. It sounds like it's across the board. So we spend this episode talking about all the various Sega games, all the way from the very early days with Carnival for video games, all the way up to Dream Raiders. And then we also announce the winners, the prize winners for the last giveaway, and we announce what we're going to be doing for the next giveaway and what the next secret code is, or question.
Yep, so a whole bunch of stuff, not a lot of time, so here we go from the Arcade Hunters podcast, episode 33. Enjoy. Alright, hello everybody, this is Nick from thearcadehunters.com, welcoming you to the 33rd episode of the Arcade Hunters podcast. With me as always, my good friend from up in New Hampshire, Mr. Gerard. Say hello to all the fine folks out there.
Hello everybody. And
we're reporting to you, doing this on a Sunday afternoon, very snowy afternoon. Oh my god, it does not fucking end. Oh god.
The snow hasn't come up here yet fully.
I looked outside and I went, why is it snowing again? It was just starting to get warmer. I thought we were going to be on the uptick, and I'm looking at, oh my god. So welcome one and all to the Arcade Hunters podcast. We got the giveaway that's going to be coming up at the end of the episode. Thank you for all getting your submissions in.
I was going to say, why don't we could just do the giveaway first. And then do the code at the end.
Yeah, because guaranteed they're gonna drop off after that.
Yeah, no, because we can do the giveaway first, and then we could do the next giveaway or secret or whatever at the end.
Oh, okay. I got you. So, Gerard, you sent out the call for a pack of Donkey Kong trading cards.
Mm-hmm.
You had to reply with the comment, it's on like Donkey Kong. So, who are our winners?
How about you read the names off? Because I think you have them all right on.
No, you have them. I didn't write them down. I actually shut down my email. I'm sorry.
Well, we figured instead of pulling like 1, 2, or 3 out of a hat like in the past, we've had 5 correct replies, so why not just give a pack away each?
Yep, there you go.
So the winners, we have Cold Guy. We have, I think I might mess up. So Cold Guy, let me see, I'm looking through. Mitch, is it?
Mitch S. We'll just call him Mitch S.
Yep.
Mitch S. What's his name?
Then, is it Jonathan Navarro?
Yep, John Navarro.
Okay, and so that's 1, 2, 3.
Hopefully me and him will do the 99 Bananas and Beverly Challenge when I go to Epcot.
And I'm missing someone. Who was... You were telling me someone on the YouTube.
Ryan Duba. He's actually a podcast behind because I noticed he said, Nick, give me a code. And I was like, I gave the codes out almost 2 weeks ago, buddy.
So is that it?
Yeah, there was 4.
There was 4? Okay. For some reason,
yeah.
I thought there was 5.
Yeah, because you said you didn't know John Navarro was disco.
Oh, okay.
That was why.
Yep. So those 4 people... You won. All we have to do is get the addresses, and I'll mail them out later this week.
Yes, send an email to pscvideos@gmail.com and just mark it Donkey Kong, and Gerard will be able to send you out a lovely pack of Donkey Kong scratch-off cards. Very nice.
Yep, so the winners send an email with your address to that. And I'm thinking of continuing to do this with each episode, do a giveaway, do some, maybe throw some randomness. Because I always like the idea of Like I used to love as a kid getting cereal and and getting a prize inside or anything, something small and cool.
No, they can't do that anymore because that makes the kids have unhealthy eating habits.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, they don't even give away the spoons anymore.
And I've been combing the internets, and there's some other goodies that will be coming up probably in a couple months that I've been finding. Some cool stuff. I was thinking of almost doing like so each of the winners are going to get a pack of cards, and then I was thinking of, well, why not? I might throw in a couple extra things too, just to make it more fun.
You're copying Matt at Dino Track, aren't you?
No.
Dinosaur Dracula fun packs, except you have to win them, and these are not all.
You don't
Matt just cleans out his garbage.
I was thinking
Give something to the long-running subscribers.
Yep.
And also for the long-running subscribers, if you're watching this on the YouTube version, you might notice that the first time I did it was the Please Enjoy episode. I was just getting over like a bad virus that I had, and I just said, I'm just going to put this up. I'm not going to wait till I feel better and then put it up. So I just put it up with no extra stuff in the video. And I noticed, I said, you know what, as a test, I'm going to put up the next episode without putting any edits in it. I want to look at the difference between how many hits we get when I actually edit the video and I put stuff into it to when I don't. Mm-hmm. And the other one actually ended up getting more hits when I didn't do anything to it. So guess what, guys? I'm not putting any more freaking photos in the video podcast.
But
anymore. I'm done.
But any photos or anything mentioned will be on the website page where the post is about the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Just direct people that's easier to do.
Because on the WrestleMania one, I'm spending all the time getting the photos and stuff like that. Like there was when I went, whoa, they just released a photo of the other side of the cabinet, like that. So I had to make sure I listened to the whole podcast, found out when I said it, and then I had to put it in and all that other stuff. So it's like, what recording the podcast is one thing, but then I have to go back and listen to myself again and splice in whenever I say something. And it just got annoying, and I didn't feel like doing it anymore. So sorry about that. I'd rather put my energy into doing other stuff on the site with the videos and, stuff with Instagram and getting people talking. So speaking of getting people talking, I had an idea for a podcast. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a great episode because, we've done a lot of positive things, a lot of reminiscing, and I wanted to do something different. But we got the story that finally Sega has pretty much announced that they're done with the console market and that they're going to be sticking to doing digital only and cell phone games.
Yep.
So it's pretty much the end of an era. My God. So I figured episode 33 is going to be all about Sega, our fondest memories with what used to be, one of the number one gaming companies out there in the world, and just what the hell happened, man?
They put I have a feeling they put so much into the Sonic Boom.
They didn't put anything into it. They had another studio develop it.
No, but I know that. But I mean, between the games, I believe there's a comic, a cartoon, action figures.
Mass media. Yeah, it's mass media. It's everything.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it's not doing too well.
Nope.
I haven't looked at it.
The show's on at 7 o'clock in the morning on friggin' Cartoon Network. It's not even on in a good time slot.
Mm-hmm. I think that
the show's not bad, but it's not. I'm sorry, for me, Sonic the Hedgehog will always be the ABC, or as fans call it, Sonic AM Saturday morning, not the weekday show that was more like kind of like a Chuck Jones style, random goofiness with
See, for me, Sonic will always be the weekday show.
Yeah, you like the weekday show. I like the Saturday show. Because I was just like, they took this weird game about a cartoon hedgehog that runs around, fights a giant Teddy Roosevelt egg-looking guy that puts animals into robots. And you know what? We're gonna make this really dark dystopian future
Mm-hmm.
where it's like he's really friggin' like evil, like he's committing genocide and everything against all these animals, and Sonic's and his friends are going to be like the equal of like the French resistance fighters. I was just like, where the hell do you come up with that? And it worked.
I need to watch the Saturday morning one again.
Yeah, watch it on Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix?
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix. I was watching it with my niece, and she loves it.
I have to, because when I was a kid, I hated action cartoons and serious cartoons. I just wanted violent, over the top humor cartoons.
And you got that with the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Oh my god.
But now I've been watching a lot more of the more serious cartoons and stuff like that, and I probably would like the Saturday morning one now.
It's sad because when you read into it, like they had so much faith on that they do appear in Sonic Spinball,
Mm-hmm.
but supposedly like they were going to do the 32X was going to have the Sonic game. It was going to have those characters in it, and it was going to be like an episode of the TV show. But then we all know what happened with the friggin' 32X, and it took a shit.
Yep.
So we never got to see that. We never got to see them in a proper game. But they still continue, and like I think they still do some of the stuff in like the Archie comic universe, but they're probably all now doing Sonic Boom now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, those character designs are just dreadful.
Yep, I think it's all Sonic Boom, unfortunately.
Because there was this thing that I read online that there's like this company that what they do is they want to try to help people that are looking for employment. So what they do is they go out and they interview former employees of companies, and they ask them about their tenure working there. And they had just recently did one on Sega, and it was disgusting. The stuff that these people were saying, how the American branch, he said, you're treated like a third-class citizen. None of your opinions matter. They said there's too many people doing too many things. You only work so you don't get yelled at. Like, there's no structure in it. And there's no passion behind anything. And, like 4 or 5 people said, less projects. They're trying to do too many things at once.
Mm-hmm.
So they should do fewer products and put more of an effort, more care and attention into it like they used to.
I'm laughing because you would think working for Sega, you think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, or and then it's the same thing that happened with Capcom. Like I remember I showed everybody the photo. If you follow us on Instagram, you might see the photo that I did copying Django Fett off of Pinecone Attack, where every amiibo that he buys, he puts it with the first appearance of the game that they've been in. Mm-hmm. So he's got his, Super Mario Brother ones with, the Super Mario on NES and the Super Mario on the Famicom and stuff like that. So he said, I can't do Mega Man, I can't find a decent copy of it. And was just like, oh god, when I get my Mega Man one in, I gotta do it. So my Mega Man is signed by Kenji Inafune.
Mm-hmm.
And that was literally the last time he worked for Capcom, because not even a month later, he quit the company, and there was a whole scathing article saying about how, in Japan they are treated like they're treated badly.
In Japan?
He was like, yeah, in Japan. He's like, so it's like with every company. I guess it's just as we call the AAA gaming, where they got to spend more money making, high definition graphics and, epic soundtracks. Wow, I sound like Mike Tyson took over my voice.
Epic soundtrack.
Oh my God, I'm going to eat his children. I'm going until he loves me. So. Let's get back into the past.
Yeah. When I just got, for shits and giggles, I took a pack of Donkey Kong cards to open them up.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip: don't eat the bubble gum.
Oh no.
But don't throw it out. The bubble gum works really well for scratching off the circles when you play the Donkey Kong
Jeez.
game. And one of the first cards is ironically the factory stage, the stage that's missing from like all the home ports, all the Nintendo made home ports. So while we talk, I'm just going to give it a quick play.
Oh, he's gonna win. So let's get into Sega. Now, Gerard, what do you think your very first Sega game that you can recall in your memory was playing and enjoying?
That's a tough one.
I'm trying to think so too, because we go back and I'm thinking like one of my favorite games was the Spy Hunter port on Atari 2600. Sega made.
Now I
like
know.
That.
Carnival. For
Oh
the
yes,
Atari
Carnival.
2600. Yeah.
Hey, I know what the picture to use for the episode is. I have the photo of you playing Carnival the first time we went to Fun Spot in your black leather jacket. So that'll be the photo for this episode.
That is definitely the first game.
The
The first Sega game I ever played. And I used to play that so much. That was one of my favorite 2600 games.
Hmm?
Okay, I'm at the top of a ladder, Nick. Should I go left or right?
I say go right.
You can probably hear the scratching.
Did we win?
Nope, not yet. But
Listen to that gum.
But didn't die yet.
It's like the gum has turned into a stick that you can use to put cheese on crackers with now.
The gum is so gross. I made sure for the people who wanted to pick the a couple, because it's an old case, a couple of the top layer of cards has some staining, so all the prizes are not coming from the top layer of cards. But for Sega, it was always the arcade games. I loved the Sonic games, but the arcade games are the ones that always kept me coming back for more.
Oh yeah.
And games like Golden Axe, I remember seeing that in the arcade and then hearing about it on the Genesis. The fact that you can play an almost arcade perfect game at home, which is what at the time we thought.
Yeah. Wow, you're scratching for a long time. You're making it up there on the card.
Yeah. I'm not finding any extra prizes for points, but I'm also not finding any barrels.
You might get up to Pauline. This is exciting radio drama. He's scratching off a playing card from 1981 with a stick of gum from 1981. Well, 35-year-old gum. Wow.
No barrel, and I think I made it without any barrels. Yep, but no prizes. So I did not do. So let's see. So I got 100 points for reaching the nearest the beautiful girl. They don't even call her Pauline.
The damsel. Or Madonna.
So I got 100 points.
Oh.
Not very good.
Never mind. So yeah, for me it was definitely, with the arcade games and the arcade ports, like, as I said, like, I don't know why, but Sega did Spy Hunter on the Atari 2600, and that was like one of the first games that it came with a cradle because you needed the second player button to use the sub weapons in the game. Most of the time, I would just put the second controller on the floor and hold it with my feet and press the button. It like made it feel like I was using the gas pedal. Like, hit the smoke screen, step on it. But yeah, man, go into the arcade and like I've said it before and I'll say it again. The first game that I play and always the last game that I play will always be Outrun. My God. Pretty much anything that Yu Suzuki had a hand in, you're in for a good time. Spy Hunter, no, I'm sorry.
Space Harrier, yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious me.
See, for me, a lot of those games I didn't get a chance to play in the arcade because I didn't come across them.
Mm-hmm.
Outrun I definitely played in the arcade when I was younger, but that was it. Space Harrier, I hate to say this, but as a kid, when I saw Space Harrier, I thought it was a knockoff of 3D World Runner for the Nintendo. Boy, was
opposite.
I... Yep.
Complete opposite. Hey, it's still both fun games, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, because for me, when I grew up, I went with the Nintendo console. You know, I went with NES because, as I tell everybody, I remember that commercial that had the kids on the space station, and you know the walls start opening up, and it looked like something out of Alien. You know, like a very dark, like looking future,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like you can play Super Mario Brothers, Excite Bike, Pinball, and Rob, the operating buddy. Is like, oh my god, this is awesome. And then, like, you know, Sega came out and was like, yeah, we have a light gun too, but you don't have a robot, so I'm going with Nintendo. But
Yeah.
my friend David had a huge collection of Sega Master System, and then went on to the Genesis. So I was able to get in with the Master System at that time. Then I have my Master System now that I got. I actually have the power base converter, and I have the Master System.
I was going to say, you must have been reading my mind. I just hooked up my Master System downstairs.
There you go, baby.
But I also had a neighbor who had the Sega Master System, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I used to love going over his house just to play it. And one of the things I remember that I loved about it was his system. I forgot what model it was. If you turned it on and you didn't have a game in it, there was a snail maze game.
That's on every version. That's the original.
Okay, because mine doesn't do that. And I have the
you have to look on and see how you do it, because I have the second version that has it has the two games built into it. It has Outrun and Hang On and Safari Hunt are built into the game. And then there's a way, I think you have to hold like the 1 or 2 button, and then you get the Snake Maze.
Okay, that might be it. I remember doing.
Do you have this? Do you have the one that has the games installed in it already?
I don't think. No, I don't. I have the first model.
Okay, then you have to. I think you have to hold down the button. Because that was another neighbor, the one across the street. They had a Master System too, and I remember like, hey, did you know that there's another game on the Master System? It's built in. And I was like, no, yeah, it's a maze game, and you get to play it. And so you have a whole nother game. You don't have that on Nintendo. I was like, oh.
I know, it blew my mind. It was like a whole nother game.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, it's a shame. Sega was always up and down to me, especially in the arcade. They had some hits. It seems like the bulk of their biggest hits to me were all on the, was it System 16 hardware.
Yeah.
That's when you had, I believe that, you had Shinobi.
Yep.
Golden Axe. Alien Syndrome. I believe that's the system that Outrun was on.
Yep.
And I think Space Harrier too. Oh no, Space Harrier. I think Space Harrier might be different.
Yeah.
I just remember just being obsessed with those games, and then
Thunderblade and stuff.
Thunderblade,
like
yep. And then playing some of the ports, and the ports were okay. Some were interesting, like Alien Syndrome for the Master System was a decent attempt.
Yeah. The worst was trying to play Quartet.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of people that love, like Maddox.
Mm-hmm.
He, our friend Yusuf met Maddox when he was doing his the Alphabet of Manliness tour, and he asked him. He said, "Hey, when you write down he goes, what's your favorite video game of all time?" And he put down Quartet on the Sega Master System, and they were saying, yeah, it's a good port of it, but you can only do 2 players, so it's like, we mentioned that in the Quartet review that we have to put up. You know, there is a 2-player conversion of it, but you know, misses that fun with the fourth player.
I mean, the whole reason it's called Quartet.
Yeah. It's like, why did we call it that? Why didn't we call it Duet?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
you wouldn't know. But I mean, like going to the arcade, like I've always said it, and I'll always stand by it. Like for me, the king of the arcades, company wise,
Hmm.
other than like the men and women that created the games, was always Sega
Yeah,
because they were always at the forefront. They were always experimenting, doing different things, and
and they kept going.
yeah, they were
Oh,
always innovating. They were always trying to do something new, something that you had never seen before. It was always unique.
Nintendo came out strong in the '80s, and then kind of shifted gears and wasn't doing too much in the arcade sector.
Yeah, because you didn't like once after like the NES took off, I think like they didn't really bother with the arcade because
Hmm.
they just had they would release games on the Play Choice and that would be it. Like they really didn't make anything new as like far as really arcade games really went.
They were
Well,
well
me,
known.
no, being arcade hunters, we're not gonna
Yeah.
sit here and talk about Master System and Genesis, and or
Hmm.
for us fine folks over the pond that may have read the Edge magazine will be reminiscing if we do not call it the Mega Drive.
Well, here's the thing. You have to also with Sega, they survived the video game crash,
Hmm.
and were still putting games out for
Well, they were
arcades.
before the video game crash. They were service games, and
Oh, I
I think
know.
Hawaii, yeah.
Oh no, I know. But then they continue. I mean, didn't they? Wasn't there a musical game that they just put out or at least published?
I forget.
I think there's a game that came out fairly recently. I think it's like Pop Idol or something like that.
Well, I know they do Hatsune Miku, the Japanese the idol singer that's
I think that might.
electronic.
I think that
She's got
might.
the green hair. That's Miku.
It, trying to find it. I think that might be it. That might be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's a music game.
Yeah.
They have it. They have Hatsune Miku in the arcade. It's an arcade port actually.
Hmm.
See, if I had the ability to do it, I would do it as an arcade port. Even though the gameplay is different from the arcade to the home version that's on the PS3. Because I got the PS3 version for I think like $9. They
Hmm.
were doing like a girls' rules sale, so they had like Tomb Raider Definitive Edition and Hatsune Miku and a couple of other games that had girl protagonists in it. They obviously didn't do Fat Princess, but game's all right, but no one communicates with you. And then sometimes when they do communicate, it's little kids that you're playing a game with a little kid that's just f this, f that, and I'm like, I'm not playing with you, kid. No one wants to play defense in those types of games. But anyway, we're going back to the arcade. So like Outrun and Space Harry, those were pushing the envelope with what they could do. Altered Beast came out with the transformations and stuff like that.
Virtual Cop.
Well, you're going too
I'm
far.
going way. Yeah. Okay.
You're going too. Stop going ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, and you did Virtual Cop before you did Virtual Fighter because that technically comes first. So I mean, like we get in like the big experience games.
Daytona.
These are you're too far ahead.
Well,
Too far
you
ahead.
said big experience games.
Well, now, how can you say that with Galaxy Force 2? How do we say that about the gigantic
Afterburner?
Afterburner 2?
The deluxe
One of my favorite stories is still listening to Nuji Naka talk about Hang On, where they made the game with the full sit-on seat.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, they took it out to test, they brought it to a really big game center in Japan, and they set it up. And they had it standing out there in the open. And they said, oh, Japan, we are very, very timid. We do not like to show off. We don't like to put anything that puts us in uncompromising situations. So they thought that if they looked foolish, they didn't want to play the game. So it was like I had to. It wasn't like you're just using the Michael handbrakes. He goes, no, you had to put your body into this game. So he said, like, he got so pissed off that people were standing around it looking at it. No one would go up there and play it. He just said, screw this, and he just jumped on it and started playing it. And then, like, after that, he started showing everybody, this is how you play it. This is a fun game. Then people just started, they dropped it, and they said, oh, I'll try that too. And I'm like, oh, this is a fun game. So like you start getting like we had Thunderblade that had the chair that you sat in that moved and stuff like that. At Fun Spot they have the choplifter conversion that's done in a cockpit style chair,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to say it because he passed away this week with Star Trek Strategic Operations
Yep.
Simulator with Leonard Nimoy or it's got a version of Leonard Nimoy's voice. I
Yes,
don't
it
know if you
does.
really consider that digitized of him. Captain, we are entering the Romulan system like that. It's got like the
I'd consider it.
yeah it kind of sounds like a modified version of shit. What the hell's the name of the other vector game that's like Space Invaders? I forget the name of it. Oh, I'm forgetting. Oh man, Space Fury.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like
yeah, with the giant head.
Yeah, and the one thing that I've watched with Todd Tuggy, they've all said the same thing. Like those games from Sega, like Tax Scan and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
like Sega's color vector games. They said those are the biggest pain in the ass
To keep running. They
He's
break
just like
non-stop.
he had like he goes like the last time I saw he had a Star Trek on, he was just like, I am not touching the inside of this. He said
Mm-hmm.
this thing is just a bear. Because I remember I got really angry because one of my father's friends that he knew from high school. I remember as a kid we went over to their house for a pool party,
Mm-hmm.
and I had gone downstairs in the basement. Oh, go down! The kids are in the basement. They're playing games. And I went, okay, I'll go downstairs. I went like, oh my god, you have an arcade game in your basement? Are you kidding me? And it was the Star Trek arcade game. I was just like, I had never seen it before until I saw it there. And like, yeah, we got it rigged so you don't have to put quarters in it. I'm like, come on, Nick, go out in the pool. No, they have an arcade game in their basement. Why would I go in the pool? This is awesome. I don't even like this game, and I'm just playing it all day. And it pissed me off because the family like wrote on Facebook, I think it's time that we got rid of Star Trek. It's time for Star Trek to move on. And yeah, I was so pissed off that they didn't consider me in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just thinking to myself, like, yeah, you would have had a bitch of a time trying to get that fucking thing
Getting into the basement.
It's not just fixed, not into the basement, but moving it is one thing, but actually having the time to fix it. I mean, when I went to Vegas this past year, they had the Star Trek sit down cabinet, and they got rid of the vector display. They put in a regular monitor, and they have it running on a version of like one of those MAME units. That runs like an Ultracade.
Yep.
And it's just set to play Star Trek. And I played it, and it wasn't that bad. I was very surprised.
I know, I like that.
The only difference is you can tell it's not on an original monitor.
Yeah. No, I love that game.
It's fun, and like I haven't played in a long time, but Tax Scan is a lot of friggin' fun if you get to see that. So I mean, so we had that.
You also have one of my favorite Sega games, Wonder Boy.
Yes, Wonder Boy. And that's a really good series. I mean, I'm so glad I got the one on PS3 that has some of the later stuff.
Which one on PS3?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it which Xbox 360? I have the Wonder Boy collection.
Okay, see, I have the Japanese import for the PlayStation 2.
Should I forget which one I have? It has the one where it has Monster World 4 where you're the girl. And that one's pretty fun. I like her. I like that character, and it's a lot of fun.
And Outrun was not neither Outrun or Space Harrier or System 16 boards.
Yes, good. You just saved yourself a bunch of emails.
Yeah.
But then, like, we get into like some of the sequels and stuff like that. So we have Outrunners, which really fun game.
I'm sorry, Outrunners is one of my favorite Sega racing games. I just love picking was it convertible bug with the two fat people in it?
Yeah, and they tip the car.
Yeah. And it's just Sega went out there and took risks with some of their games. I mean, think of like Fantasy Zone and stuff like that.
Yep.
Games
Fantasy Zone's like if Japan saw Defender and is like, okay, how can we make this just weird?
Yep. Exactly. That's what it is. And
I
then,
have to pick it up on the 3DS. I know the conversion came out.
oh, it did.
Yeah, it's out.
I did not
I'm
know
I'm
that.
mostly I'm waiting for Outrun. I'm gonna do Outrun first, and then I'm gonna do Fantasy Zone.
I know the Afterburner conversion was really good.
I
But
didn't like the controls. I have to modify it when I play it again next time.
Sega took risks with that. Like Fantasy Zone's out there. Alien Syndrome is, granted, aliens were popular, but the game is so gory,
Yeah,
especially for an early arcade game, without being like ridiculous exidy gory. It's
yeah,
not like Crossbow or Chiller where it's so over the top, but the graphics are so bad that it really negates each other.
yeah.
And then,
I still love the Sega Ages port that they made of it, that M2 made on the
mm-hmm.
PS2, where it uses the tank style controllers, so it plays more like
Oh yeah, that
Smash
Robotron
TV
or
and
Smash
Robotron.
TV. Yep.
That's the one thing that I don't like about the game is I kind of wish that they let you hold down the attack button and you could strafe. That's the only thing
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, like the game would be made 10 times easier if you were allowed to strafe in the game. It
Yep.
does. They do kind of let you get away with it when you get the little robots that will shoot behind you
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But then other than that, it's just like it would have been 10 times easier if you could strafe in the game. And then we get to we get into like the late '80s and the mid and the early '90s where we have to talk about good old Encino Man
Mm-hmm.
and talk
Radmobile.
about Radmobile,
Mm-hmm.
one of the very first or the first appearance of Sonic the Hedgehog ever was the dashboard toy.
I remember playing that game at Spaceplex.
Oh God, play that at Spaceplex
Played
all the
it so
time.
much. I was
That and G-Lock we used to play the
Yep.
shit out of.
I couldn't believe I couldn't believe that the car moved and the way it moved. That was the first time I ever saw like a
It's
full
so
motion.
disappointing. I have not seen one of those in a good 15, 20 years
Mm-hmm.
since the game came out.
I mean, I remember playing and it floored me because at the time I've never played a physical arcade game that moved around like that.
Mhm.
And I was just like, this is awesome because I never came across a Deluxe Outrun or Space Harrier
Yeah.
until Fun Spot.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that drew me to Fun Spot. Like, they have a deluxe Afterburner, a deluxe Outrun,
Mm-hmm.
Hang On, and Space Harrier. I was like, I think we're going to this place. I have to see this for the the Sega games alone. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing they're missing is Shinobi.
Yep.
My God, I love me some Shinobi.
But it's just, well, Sega was ahead with that stuff.
I mean, you get even crazier where, we had stuff like Galaxy Force 2, where you're in the full-on 360, moving around cockpit
Mm-hmm.
chair.
Oh,
And then we
God.
get total 360 with the Sega R360,
Mm-hmm.
where they had their port of G-Lock in it. And there's another user on YouTube, I forget the man's name, but the guy, like, specializes in fixing them and bringing them back to life. And there's one game, I think it's called Wing War.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have it. I think they have it at the Penny Arcade that's up in the Half Moon Arcade in Wares Beach
Mm-hmm.
has the smaller 2-player version.
Mm-hmm.
But supposedly it has a version that you can play. It's hidden in the code that it was going to be an R360 game that you had, like, let alone one place had 2 of them. They had it that you could play them simultaneously. So he had it jimmy rigged so it worked on the one R360, and then the one had it had a sit down version.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing you had to do is you had to trick it because the R360 had the seatbelt system in it, and the game won't play unless the person has their seatbelt on.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I was so pissed off that the only time I ever saw an R360 was up in Niagara Falls in Canada. And I saw it there, and I looked at the sign, and it said it was $5 to play it. And I was standing there looking at it. It was turned on, but unfortunately, the attendant went out for dinner and didn't come back until like 20 minutes later. And by the time that she came back, I didn't have $5 to play. Oh.
It's funny
And
that
I'm so pissed off because all the other games that I played were all games that I could have played anywhere else except for that.
it's funny that you mentioned the seatbelt. I have a quick side story. When I moved to Japan, I went to an arcade and there was this game. It was looked like a crazy truck driving game. I forgot who made it. And it had a seatbelt. So I sat down to play it, and when I sit down, there's all these crazy caution and warning signs flashing on the screen about buckling seatbelts. And it's all in kanji, which I couldn't read. So I was actually getting nervous. It was so intense, the amount, that I took the seatbelt, I buckled it, and I was just sitting in the cockpit thing, and I was just sitting there going, what is this going to do? What is this going to do? I had no idea what to expect. I'm expecting just some crazy, insane shit to happen. Game starts, nothing. Cab doesn't move at all. Nothing. Doesn't move at all. I'm playing. It's just kind of a boring racing game. So my game ends. So I take the seatbelt off. I hop out. I look around and I realize there's no hydraulics or anything under the seats. It was like a deluxe cab, but not one that's made to move. And that's when I realized, son of a bitch, those warnings are about wearing seatbelts in real life. But it was funny because I was just so nervous and worried because I had no idea what to expect. It's Japan. I've already been on crazy game rides and games and shit. I tried using a massage chair and it almost strangled me because it wasn't made for a big American body. So it was really pinching.
You can't fit in this.
Oh, I got stuck in it. When I put my money in, it was at the internet cafe. I'm like, this is gonna be relaxing. The little finger hand things that are in the seat grabbed me and I couldn't get out of the freaking seat because I didn't know how to adjust in the friggin' control panels like the friggin' Star Trek control panel. I'm sitting there hitting buttons trying to turn the stupid thing off. It's squeezing tighter. But yeah, so that's my seatbelt story.
So now we go a little further. So we had our R360, we had our G-Lock. Then we start getting into, they start chomping on the polygons. We start getting into the 3D revolution. And I know you remember it. I know I remember being at Spaceplex. Was virtual racing.
I was going to say, did we skip over Time Traveler?
Oh yeah, we did. I'm sorry. We tipped over the hologram system.
Friggin' Time Traveler.
I know we've talked about it before on the show, but
but again,
reminisce if we don't talk about it.
But again, that's something that's always stands out with me with Sega games is trying something new and going that extra mile. They're always had creative people. I mean, they just published the game. It was really, I think it was made by the same guy that did Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
But still, the fact that they're doing that, and I remember that game. I remember the hologram. I remember it was the coolest thing ever. It was the most expensive game at Spaceplex. There'd be a huge crowd just watching people play it. And while you're playing it, people are sticking their hands trying to touch and feel and getting in the way. But, I mean, again, Sega with the technology.
And you'd always find that guy. That was that guy that went after school. And the guy hoarded all his lunch money, and he sat there and he could play through the whole movie. And you're sitting there going, like, he knew, like, when the certain things would trick you out, that you would think that you were walking away, and he would turn around and just, like, blow their head off, like, how did he do that? And then I sat on it, like, dead.
Yep. Barely last, like, 10 seconds.
There's a lot of violent scenes in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad they have it at, they've got it at Barcade in Chelsea, at the main Manhattan location. They still got it.
That's cool.
And they have big signs all over. Do not put your drink onto this machine. They were having, the last time I played it was having a problem with the disc, where it would, like, I got into, like, one of the time periods, and it skipped. It skipped the whole time period. And it said malfunction, skipping next time period. I went, okay. Like, what the hell did I do? But, like, when Virtual Racing came out, my God, I remember when Spaceplex got that in because they had it in the second largest deluxe version of that. Because then you go up to Virtual Formula, which was in the gigantic motion seats that they had at Epcot. And I know a lot of folks, if they got to go to one of the original GameWorks, that was one of the showcase games, was Virtual Formula
Mm-hmm.
that they had. You know, gigantic moving cockpit chairs and stuff like that, just gigantic. And I just remember the whole for me, like a lot changed when they came out with Virtua Fighter for that first time.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I think we've explained before, like Long Island, especially Spaceplex, was Mortal Kombat Island.
Yep.
I mean, they would have Street Fighter once in a while, but no one really cared. I remember when they got in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, nobody played it.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you go and you look at Mortal Kombat, they had 4 Mortal Kombat 2s, 3 Mortal Kombat 3s. People were still playing Mortal 1.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they had gotten in Virtual Fighter. They put it between two Mortal Kombat 2s, and everybody just stared at it. They did not know what to think about it because it was a bigger game, and they also marked it at 75 cents a play at
Mm-hmm.
3 tokens. So nobody wanted to put 3 tokens into it
Mm-hmm.
when they could put 2 tokens into Mortal Kombat. And I'm just like,
and the other thing was when, like, especially the track screen for Virtua Fighter and the game in general, it's not very violent. You
Mm-hmm.
are fighting, but it's not. You look at that. You look at these polygon, 3-dimensional characters, and they're punching and kicking, and you look next to it at Mortal Kombat 2.
there's gore galore.
Yeah, you see Reptile taking his mask off and eating people, or spitting acid and turning into skeletons. And which one, as a kid, are you going to play?
Yeah. I was like the only one that took the gamble, and I went over and I played it.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest problem was, like, I look at Virtua Fighter 1, and I really don't like a lot of the characters in
Mm-hmm.
Virtua Fighter 1. I don't like and it's weird because, like, you don't like the original roster? Like, especially, like, if you go to Japan where, Virtua Fighter is just the cat's pajamas over there.
Oh, God,
you
yeah.
can't- You can't get away from it, especially in the arcades. And, I mean, they're even making... I don't even know if this means that they're going to come out with the rebalance. I heard they were making a last rebalance for Virtua Fighter 5 Final Tune.
Mm-hmm.
But, I didn't like Virtua Fighter until Virtua Fighter 2 came out because
Yeah.
then they added in Lion. And he is such a fucking prick, but I love that character. I've used him in every Virtua Fighter. It's weird because Virtua Fighter 1 and Virtua Fighter 2 were in the regular standard cabinets. And then they decided when Virtua Fighter 3 came out, you know what? We're going to release it in a gigantic cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, do you remember the gigantic cabinet?
I
'Cause
do not.
They used to have it at the Nathan's Fun Center, the one that was by Hofstra, that Craig used to go to. But when they got it, when it was brand new, they had it in Spaceplex. Or, I'm sorry, Sports Plus had it. And it was the same thing. It was too big. It was gigantic. They asked for like 4 tokens to play it. And it was just so intimidating that no one went to play it. And it's just the thing with like Virtua Fighter is that, people look at that game and they see, it's only got 3 buttons, but like the friggin' list for each character is like a goddamn laundry list. It's gigantic. The
Now,
amount of stuff that each character can do, it's insane.
now was it like a showcase cabinet?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at. There's a couple different cabinets if you look
Mhm.
up the image. One that's like standard showcase. Then there's one, it looks like it's a candy cab
Yeah.
showcase. Looks weird.
I mean, this thing was giant, and I still couldn't believe it was like one of the last games that they still had at the at that Nathan's Fun Center. I think it was like on an old like rear projection, like big screen TV. So
Mhm.
the friggin' images on it were burned in. It looked horrible at the time, but it was still like, my God. And then we can't talk about Virtua, and you mentioned it before, Virtua Cop.
Yep.
You go there.
And Virtual Cop was always, and that's where the virtual games really came home for me, were with the Sega Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they were running that deal where you could buy the Saturn. I think it was $99 and came with Virtual Cop, Virtual Fighter, and Daytona.
Yes.
But I remember playing those games, not Virtual Fighter, but Virtual Cop and Daytona in the arcade, and loving them and thinking this is where the future is.
Yeah.
And then
it's weird because like I was reading about how like they said how like they did a whole list of the most profitable arcade games of all time, and obviously Pac-Man's number one, and they had a bunch of others, but I'm surprised that they did not have Daytona listed because that game is still alive. And as like one of the things that Gary told me at Fun Spot was he said like between the two floors, if Daytona ever went down and some of the prize games, we'd lose almost half our day's business on 2 games.
Yep.
Like that. So
well, it's crazy.
Daytona's got to be. I swear Daytona's got to be in that top 10.
I think so, because you go into a Dave & Buster's today, and they have a big row of the Daytona games. They have the dashboard cameras and everything, and they have the lights and stuff to let you know who's in first, second, whatever. That's there, and that's still getting played.
Yeah, and the staying power of that game, because it's still there, and even though, like, Global VR and all those other companies keep coming out with racing games, they don't get rid of it, and it's still there. The game's over 20 years old now. I mean, I think it said 95 or 94 when it came out, and people are still lining up to play it, and it's still fun, and it will always be fun. Well, no, it's just it's a staple.
Yeah, a lot more fun than NASCAR.
Oh my God, that'll be next week if we do. If there's no
big news
change in the weather of news, well, I'll just say it right now. I was literally going to call today's episode the worst, and we were just going to go on tirades. And I kind of wanted to do it in case like we went on too long because there's the Weird Al cover that's even worse. So I wanted to call it like the Arcade Hunters, part 2, even worse, like that. But my God, I cannot play that NASCAR game. Any of the versions, like I heard someone saying, like, oh, like the other if you're playing a 4-player game, that player 1 is like the lead console, and then the other ones are the slaves, so it runs slower. So I played a 1-player game in the 1-player chair, and it still ran like shit. But we have to, and then like now we get into the Daytona sequels because we had Daytona. We got our Sega Super GT. Came after. I think right, wasn't it Super GT, and then after that it was Sega Rally.
I believe so.
Yeah, Sega Rally. Oh my God, I miss playing Sega Rally in the actual arcade. That was such a long medium left, maybe like that. I was like, what do you mean maybe? This guy sucks. I hate this navigator. But no one can forget that game because of Game Over, yeah! Love that game. And like they continued on with Virtua. I mean, you had Virtua Striker, which was the soccer game, and the Decathlete. I think Decathlete came out in the arcade, right?
I believe so.
I remember playing that in the arcade, but one of the other games that I know you didn't have the fortune to play, but I did. My God, Funky Head Boxers. Weirdest fucking game I have ever seen in my life. It's on Sho Aniki levels of weirdness.
Yep.
It's just a weird boxing game. And it's not like they're. Oh my God! I can't believe I almost missed the title fight with the boxing game with the hand controllers that you would go back and forth and bop 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 like that.
That was a Sega System 16 game, I believe.
Was that 16?
I'm pretty sure.
Might have been one of the last ones because that came out like 90.
Unless I'm thinking of a different boxing game.
I'm thinking of like the big one, the title bout that had like the red and the blue clear colored hand things that you would go back and forth with.
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. I'm pretty sure it was a Sega System 16. If not, they did have another game with those hand things that was.
Well, there was that other. I'm
thinking of Heavyweight Champ.
Yeah, there's heavyweight champ was the old one.
Yeah, that's
Where
what
it
I'm
had
thinking
like
of.
they were like that thing broke down a lot.
Yeah,
You could never find that working.
That's what I was thinking of for the hand things. That's the Sega System 16 board.
And then you go up. I think it's Title Fight, right?
Yep.
Or Title Bout.
Yep, that's not Sega System 16. But I remember that, and it was that funky two-person cabinet that was that was like combined and on angles, and
I've seen people do conversions of that, and it's sad. they've turned them into fighting games, like so. They're like Japanese style, where you have each have a cabinet, because those things got destroyed. And it just sucks because those big experience games, because how they ran, you just don't see them anymore. You don't see Radmobile, you don't see G-Lock and stuff like that.
And you don't get the same experience playing the ports.
Yeah. Or you play it on emulations. Like, when you played this, you had the full-on console chair and stuff like that. The speaker was behind you, and the guy would scream at you and stuff like that. It's all those different games, and then we get like we talked about Virtua Fighter and Virtua Cop, and then the next obviously one you get with the shooting is the House of the Dead,
which I've never been a fan of the series.
Really, even the second one with Suffer Like G did.
Yep, even the second one, I'm not a fan. Part of the reason is it was too weird, almost. It was just I just thought everything was odd. It wasn't, in some spots it wasn't bloody enough, and then in other spots it was just, I don't know, I couldn't, hard to describe. I just never got into it, and I've played 1, 2, 3, and 4 and just could never get into it.
I have to get Overkill. I was looking for it on the Wii, and I can't find I can find the version on PS3 easy, but I just don't want to go out and buy the friggin' Move to play it.
Yeah, I should be. I've seen it for cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. I have typing.
Overkill was fun. I played the demo. I played it at Comic-Con.
That looked a lot of fun. That looked different.
Oh, it's a total homage to all the Grindhouse movies. You could tell, like, the people that made that game had a whole ton of fun making it. For me, with the, House of the Dead, 2 will always be my favorite. And that kind of shows with Sega, because when they did Typing of the Dead, they used it off of Virtual Cop. They used it off the second game, not the third one.
See, I did like Typing of the Dead, but that was just because of the quirkiness.
And guess what? We could talk about it because it was an arcade game.
Oh, I played it. First time I ever played it was in Japan.
Gee, you bastard.
It was
They
weird.
have Lupin the Third typing, too, in Japan.
That I didn't see. It was weird because it's a stand-up kiosk with the keyboard, and you stand there typing like on the keyboard. It was a lot of fun to play in the arcade, and I have it downstairs for the Dreamcast.
One game that I always wanted to play from Japan was they did a Lupin the Third shooting game. And I think it's you're some stages you're Lupin and other stages you're Gigan, or I'm sorry, Jigen, because Jigen was like the sniper of the group.
Yep.
And I also think, I don't know if it was Sega or Konami that did it. They took they did a spin-off of like Silent Scope, and they made it into Golgo 13. So it's Golgo 13, and Silent Scope had a baby. Because that's the whole thing of Golgar 13 is he's the world's best sniper.
Yep.
So, why not kind of have that as a crossover with Silent Scope? I'd rather play that than Silent Scope is no slouch, but that's a Konami game. That's a topic for another time.
Yep. But then I remember when Virtual Cop 2 came out. And that was
the Just a Shot.
Yep. Loved that game.
And I'm going to say it, and we're going to say it multiple times. What the fuck happened to our home port of Virtua Cop 3?
Oh, God.
Why didn't we ever get a home port of that? Sega, what the hell is wrong with you?
Virtua Cop 3 is probably my favorite arcade gun game.
I love, and it's
hands down.
Because there's so many ways the scoring in the game is broken because I've seen people that max out the game,
Mm-hmm.
and but they said yeah, you can max out the game, but it's still fun as hell to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, and I said yeah, it's a fun fucking game. I love that game. It's a lot of fun.
I remember playing it. I remember when looking at the Wii and going, they can so do this on the Wii.
I was like, I remember being because we would go to Dave and Buster's
Yep.
like once a month and get lunch, and we would just BS about what we were doing with the webcomic, and
Mhm.
like we would always get the Dave and Buster's eat and play combo,
Yep.
and half of our points would be spent on playing Virtua Cop 3 because
Yep.
they never got rid of it.
Yep. Playing through it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Like, oh, there's no fourth bonus stage? Like that.
Mhm.
That's all it needed was a fourth. It needed a final fourth boss stage. That's all it needed. Like, what? This is a cinematic. Why am I getting a cutoff?
And I remember just waiting and waiting, hoping Sega would release
Mhm.
a port, and they
Yeah,
never
they've
did.
never done like Jumbo Safari. No, never came out on a home console. I know it was planned to come out on a home console. You know, I think they did.
A version did come out
Oh, it did. I forgot.
for I think the Wii. It was like a weird.
Yeah,
I think they.
I know F355 Challenge got released, but it's not the same as sitting in the full deluxe 3-screen cabinet.
Ghost Squad got released for the Wii.
Yeah, but not the second one. Ghost Squad 2 was really, really good.
The
Operation Ghost.
But and that's the thing that killed me. The first Ghost Squad, which I have for the Wii, they did a good job porting it, and they did a good job throwing in extras, including like some goofy cheat modes where you have a water pistol and everyone's in bathing suits and bikinis,
Yeah.
even the bosses. And I remember playing that and going, "This is awesome." And then they had like the House of the Dead, I think 1 and 2.
No, 2 and 3.
2 and 3, House of the Dead 2 and 3. I'm like,
It sucked. I have to ask Joe because I bought it at Digital Press and he never put the disc in it. I bought what was it? LA Machine Guns and
Yep.
what's the other one? LA Machine Guns and Gunblade New York.
yep.
And I bring it home and I went, oh my god, there's no disc in it like that.
And those are
But
two,
I bought it like a few months ago, so I just have a case with no game in it.
and those are two other awesome Sega arcade games. So like they were putting all these games out on the Wii. I'm like, here we go. Virtua Cop 3 is going to be next. They're going to announce
Could be the
Virtua Cop
Virtual
3.
Cop trilogy.
Here comes Virtua. Yep, and nothing.
Because I know House of the Dead 4 is an online downloadable move-only game on the PS3.
Yeah, and the
And
PS3.
it looks exactly like the arcade version, but
They can keep it.
we still got flamed online for that because we didn't like it. It's like, fuck you! I don't like the little I said Uzi and someone's like, that's not an Uzi, that's a Glock, whatever. I was like, Jesus Christ! Now we have gun people. It's like actual fans of actual firearms yelling at me because it's not the right firearm in the game. No, because I love it in House of the Dead 2. You could tell your shots were damaging the enemy. Like,
Mhm.
you know, if you shot their head, like if you shot like part of their eye, like they would
Mhm.
still come at you until you destroyed all their head.
Yep.
I just didn't like it in. It's the same in 3 and in House of the Dead 4, where they just kind of just fall over and they burn.
Is 3 the one with the shotguns?
Yeah, 3 has
Yep.
shotgun. The first 2 are handguns. The third is a shotgun, and the third is the motion activated Uzi.
Yep.
Just shake it loose and looks like you're doing something else with it. We walked over, our friends Craig and Yusuf were playing. It's like, that looks like you're doing something a lot different than playing House of the Dead. He goes, shut up.
We forgot to mention Virtua Tennis.
Oh yes, all 4 of them.
And that's leave it to Sega to take. Tennis for the most part can be a very basic video game, can be kind of boring, and Sega comes along and friggin' game's amazing.
Yep, they made it work with only 2 buttons.
Yep, and yeah. I remember playing it on the giant showcase cabinet at Dave and Buster's Virtua Tennis 4, and it's like button 1, button 2.
Yep.
That's all
you
you
press
need.
both together for a slice shot, I think it is.
Yep, and playing that forever. Because they just concentrated on gameplay and making a game fun.
Good luck making it past the third guy in that game.
Yeah.
I want to see someone play that past the third. the third level because that thing is bonkers
Mhm.
nuts.
I think it was it Virtual Tennis 3 on the 360?
I think so. Yeah.
I remember that was like one of the first when I first got my 360. That was one of the first games I bought.
So it's like Rockstar Table Tennis. Like, no, I want Virtual Tennis.
Yeah.
I know Rockstar Table Tennis, no slouch. I haven't played it yet.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, but just never got around to it.
I have to talk about one of my all-time favorite racing games. Pretty much one of my all-time favorite games in general.
Mm-hmm.
Outrun 2. Holy shit. My God.
Yeah,
it sucks because Coast to Coast 2, 2006 is like incredibly hard to get now. Any of the home console versions. It's like I have it on Steam, but it plays like shit. So with my computer. So hopefully when I get a new computer, I have to see how that works when you get a new computer and you're switching your Steam profile over. I forget how that works. I just hope I can still play Coast to Coast 2006 on my next computer whenever I do get it.
I loved Outrun 2 also.
Oh my God. We would go to the Qzar in Carl Place, New York. One of the last remaining independently run Qzars. And they had an Outrun 2. And for some reason, it was set for 25 cents a play.
Yep.
We would go in there. We went there that one time. We got like $5 in quarters. We did not get up.
And it's funny because Sports Plus, which was closer to us, and they had Outrun 2 also, but I think it was $1 or 75 cents a play.
It was 75 cents and it played like
they were beaten to hell.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Hated that place. What Sports Plus also, Sports Plus also had one of the very rarely seen Sega games, Planet Harriers.
Yep.
That's another game that I wish that did not get lost. Because I swear, there's like this period of time with the arcade games. It's got to be like between like 99 and like, let's say 2004 or something like that, where like some of these great games came out, but really like nobody played them and no one's talking about them because, we had the PS2, really hit its stride. The Dreamcast was dying, but there were these great arcade games and people don't talk about them.
I loved Planet Harriers also.
Oh, that was so cool. I mean, like, one of the things for me, there's a character named Nick. So I had the baseball player, and when you play two-player, you could combine and hook onto them. Sega, if you guys are doing digital-only stuff, I mean, look into your back catalog. Give us a friggin' digital-only, I'll take a digital-only Space Area Planet Harriers.
Yep. That
I can play online. I want that. Expand it. What could they... do what you guys did the best. Stop doing Sonic. There's been other ones of your franchises that have been so much better. I mean, like the guys that made Toe Jam and Earl have a Kickstarter started. They want to do it independently. They want to do the game that they always wanted to make. And I hopefully it works for them with that. I know they're asking for like $400,000.
Oh, I'm just thinking. Then we also have the Die Hard arcade by Sega, or Dynamite Cop,
or Dynamite Deca.
Dynamite Deca. Those games were always a blast.
What was the sequel that you guys played at the Kongman Center that it fucking froze, so I never got to play it?
What was it? I think it was.
Wasn't that Dynamite Deca? Because
it was like Dynamite Deca Asia, I think.
Yes.
It was for the Naomi.
Asian Dynamite.
Asian Dynamite. Yep, that's it. Asian Dynamite.
Where
holy shit!
Plays...
I got to basically take all the classic, like Commando style, all the classic action movies, like Rambo and stuff that have ever taken place in some form of Asian jungle, and turn that into a video game. Even like something like Platoon, and that's what Asian Dynamite is. You basically fought. And it played kind of like Die Hard arcade or Dynamite Deca, except each stage was a different area of Asian jungle or Asia.
Yeah.
The game was insane.
And we were playing because someone said like, hey, if you're going to the Chinatown Fair, you gotta go check out this other place,
Kongman.
The Kongman Center. They have Initial D, which we haven't gotten a chance to say anything yet with Sega
Oh
Ross.
God, I
They're up
completely
to
forgot about that.
they're up to initially 7. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you got to go to Command Center. So we got there. We were playing Fist of the North Star because we're all big Hoto no Ken fans. So we're screaming and picking Mr. Hart and watching him like flop everywhere and shit like that. And I think you and Yusuf got to play Asian Dynamite, and by the time that I got up to it, it fucking froze.
Yep.
And I didn't feel comfortable in that place, reaching back and looking for the kill switch and putting it on again. And like, you get out of here! You don't touch my game. I mean, you're in. Apologies to our Asian listeners, but I mean, the place that we went into is just like you're like the only white people in that whole place because it was a little Asian little bodega in Chinatown. It was a little Chinese bodega. Like, we heard you got video games in the back. We gotta play them.
The website, the arcade website, excellentcom.net. I think they might still have them. For years they've been selling Asian Dynamite complete kits new for between $150 and $199. Yeah. They have like a whole bunch of them, and I always want to get it, but then I have to get the whole setup and that whole. I believe it's for Naomi 1. The whole Naomi setup is such a headache. It is a cartridge, but I believe even with the cartridge games, you still have to have that pinout, which is like
they have the encryption thing.
Yeah, which is like $200 and faulty, and it's just like, ugh.
That's why you don't see a lot of those games because of the hardware that it's on, and it's like why a lot of the other stuff is starting to disappear. Like, Outruns are starting to disappear and Shinobis because of the friggin' stuff they used was just junk.
Space Harrier.
I mean, Planet Harriers, they said, is such a big pain in the ass, along with Space Harriers, you were saying.
They suicide. Luckily, the 2 boards that I have, the Golden Axe and Shinobi boards that I have the suicide fix.
Yeah.
Because System 16 boards do suicide. It has to do with the battery that basically just dies and all the acid leaks out and corrodes and completely ruins the board. It's insane.
Yeah, we had that with Jumble Junkie. He went on a whole thing talking about how he was so excited. He got a Space Harrier. He was so happy. And then, like, 3 months later, didn't work.
And Sega's had a history of that. Like, the STV Titan is a very faulty hardware. I have one with Radiant Silvergun in it, and I can't play Radiant Silvergun because it has constant freezing.
Yeah.
And it's because even though it's cartridge based, the PCB is not made for all that flexing.
Yeah.
So when you're constantly changing cartridges or putting cartridges in and out, it flexes and cracks some of the solder joints and connections.
Yeah.
And then causes problems. And there's other issues with it. It's just like it's like a headache. You read all the time.
An albatross.
Yeah, you read all the time about people buying multiple STV Titan boards, and then when one goes trying to fix it, it's like it's nice the cartridges can be changed, but it's almost like they made it to really only work with one game.
Exactly.
It's not made to be used and abused like a console or even like the Neo Geo MVS, which that thing's made like a tank. I hooked mine up today downstairs to the TV.
It's weird because, I mean, so many great games, but they run like shit.
Like,
we're sitting here talking about how great the game is as players, but, like, as an operator, probably like, fuck those things. I don't want to have any of those things near me.
Yeah.
The friggin', it sucked, like, the last time I went to our Hershey Park, the Naomi was having a GD-ROM failure on it they have a Capcom versus SNK 2. I can already guarantee that game's not going to be there if I go in the summer. It's going to be gone.
That GD-ROM failure happens all the time.
Same thing with with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It just dies after a while.
And then you're chasing parts and attachments trying to get to work. And that's the thing. A lot of these games are not made for collectors, especially the older games. They're made, I mean, that's the whole thing with suicide batteries and stuff. They weren't thinking that someone 20 years later is going to be playing this. They're thinking that They're going to sell it. They're going to get their money. Operators are going to get their money for a couple of years, and then they're going to upgrade to the next game.
Yep. Like no one's gonna want to be playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo now.
And no one's going to be collecting these games.
No one's gonna be doing this. Like hell yeah, people are still doing it. How many years do you still have left on your batteries?
I got to change it.
You got to do it.
Yeah, I know.
You got to do it, otherwise you're screwed.
You can always get it Phoenixed.
Yes. I love the Phoenix edition. Those guys, I mean, the stuff that people have come up with in the past few years with regards to doing all this stuff, it's pretty friggin' amazing that they've done. So how are we on time? I think we're
at the hour. I'd say there's a couple other things to finish up with Sega we can do, I think, rather quickly, wrap it up. Like Sega, again, going into the future, they kept on making games. Like one of my favorite gun games, it's not my favorite, but it's probably a close second, is the friggin' Rambo game.
Yep.
Holy shit.
And it's weird because the game looks like it came out in the 90s. The way the polygons look, like Rambo's got like a really flat head looking thing.
Yep. It is so much fun to the point where there's that I almost bought, they had that Rambo gun game.
Yeah, everybody thought it was there's a certain amount of people like our people that thought, oh wow, it's a Rambo light gun game. It's got to be the one that's in the arcade.
It's got to be the arcade.
It's not.
And it's god awful. And then you have didn't they do an Aliens game too?
No, Aliens is play mechanics.
I thought they also. Did.
No, they did Alien 3: The Gun.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
But the other two Alien games are play mechanics, and then the newest one is Raw Thrills.
Yep.
The same guys that did Terminator, the Terminator Salvation arcade game.
Yep.
Which now they just sent out the I haven't watched it yet, but they did send out the trailer for Jurassic Park.
Really?
I'm surprised they're not calling it Jurassic World. They're just calling it Jurassic Park. And the whole thing with them is we're missing another Sega game, Jurassic Park: The Lost World, and the original Jurassic Park that had the motion chair.
Yep.
But Lost World, holy shit, that game is still in arcades making money.
We're also missing what the hell is it?
That's the thing about this company. There's so many games.
They're all over the place. What was it? What's the Paradise game? Shooting gun game.
Oh, Let's Go Jungle.
Let's Go Jungle. Yep. Awesome game.
I haven't played the sequel. I've never seen Let's Go Island yet.
Nope. With the shark, and they even have a deluxe 3D model. I mean, again, Sega on the forefront with some of these games, like Let's Go Jungle. It's a mounted light gun game, but the throw-in that they have is if you take your crosshair and cross it over your teammate's crosshair, you get extra points and stuff like that, and then at the end it gives you a compatibility level. Yeah. It's supposed to be like a date game.
We played it so much we had like what was it, like an 86%?
I think we got into the 90s.
It was like, you'll be together forever. I'm like, oh. I put my hand on your leg and you punched me in the shoulder.
The only thing the game's missing is like a printout card. That would make it
Probably
that much
in Japan,
better.
They got something like that, like a neoprint, like yeah.
But yeah, and then didn't they just do not too long ago Dream Riders?
Yes, Dream Raiders.
Dream Raiders. I mean, again,
kind of sucked.
Oh, it did.
It's weird because like you pick
was it just super short?
Yeah, it's what I was saying online about how all the new arcade games are priced now. They're done like big experience games to where you're given 3 minutes and that's it. I mean, with Dream Raiders, it's like Dream Raiders and a couple of other games with like even like the new the Namco Bandai Star Wars Battle Pod.
Yep.
Where I swear to God, you could just sit through the game and you wouldn't even lose your health. It would play through the full 5 minutes and then okay, next player. And that's how Dream Raiders felt. It didn't feel, like you still were shooting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like if I didn't sit here, it would just end at the same point in time.
That stinks.
It would end at 3 minutes instead of 5 minutes. But it was a decent idea for a game. It was pretty cool.
We
The
forgot
cabinet's pretty decent.
we forgot Sega Star Wars.
Yes. Oh my God, Sega Star Wars. Well, both of them, Star Wars Trilogy Arcade,
Yep.
and then the one that's on like the 32X,
2X,
where
yep.
you do the dual X-wing pilots together.
Mhm.
I got so pissed off that what was that Fun Zone
Yep.
place that we went to, and the friggin'
With the Nathans.
controller was inverted. It's like, you
they
son of a bitch.
had some of the coolest games, and that was one of them. It's just like, are you kidding me? You never see this in arcades, and like you
Yeah,
said,
they had the Sega Jurassic Park,
yep.
and the Sega Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And Star Wars Trilogy, my God, how much money have I put into that thing? I used to have an audience playing me because I could 1cc that game. It was weird because I could 1cc that game, or for the people that don't know what the hell I'm saying, 1 credit clear, which means beat the game on 1 credit.
Yep.
And I could still not crack the top 10 list. And I knew most of the secrets, like when you press the button and like the like the little wampa would come out and crush something, or the Ewok would fall out of the sky and bop the guy on the head. So
Sega just, I mean, they're all over the place, and it's a shame that they're going away. And they just had games come out, not that like recently, like within the past year, they've had a presence at, like, was it IAPA?
IAPA, yeah.
And stuff like that. It's a shame that they're...
Yeah, they have Sega Amusements, so I don't know, does that mean everybody at Sega Amusements is dead? I don't know.
No, that's true. Maybe it's just Sega. Maybe Sega Amusements will keep it together.
I hope so. They'll keep it going, because I know they have, like, the, I think they just did the, what is it, the Plants vs. Zombies game.
Yeah.
I think they have the rights to the Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, Sega's always been all over the place.
Maybe the amusement will stay around. Maybe they won't. We'll probably that'll be like one of the first things. Like, no, that's only the consumer electronics thing. The other one will still go until like that.
Yeah, because there's also the various Sega arcades all around Japan.
Yeah.
That were made just, I mean, literally just Sega. They have other games too, but Sega Run Arcade. You have, I think, Sega Joyplus. I don't know if that's still open.
I know Tato's still around because they follow us.
The Tato stations are all over.
I got to get one of the things for Tato that I have to get, because they do all the prizes for the capsule games.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about getting you one. I was seeing if I could get 2 of them. There's the one mascot character. Her name is Supersonico.
Yep.
You know, she's you know who I'm talking about? Like,
yes,
she's
I
like
do.
very since she's like, they're like co-owned with, I think, the company's like Nitro Plus or something like that, the name of it is.
Mm-hmm.
They do Supersonico characters for it, and one of the Supersonico characters is one of the non-cheesecake ones. It's her dressed up as a Taito Game Station employee. And she's got a box, and it's got all like the stuffed animals in it, and she's got like on her belt she's got like buttons and stuff like to fix the games and stuff like that. I was like, that'd be perfect to put on top of a candy cabinet. She's gonna fix your game.
That would be perfect.
Refill your UFO catcher. I have to see if I can find her for under $20, but it's some of those, like, you get OMG super rare. I was like, no, I'm not giving you $30 for a piece of plastic. So, folks, that right there, episode 33 of the Arcade Hunters podcast. Before we go and give you all that fun stuff, Gerard, you were talking about doing another giveaway. What were you gonna do?
I was thinking, we still got some more Donkey Kong cards, and there's quite a few in the sets. What's really cool is each pack comes with a few game cards. You can play the game, write your high score. Then it comes with some really awesome stickers, and if you collect all the stickers, you can make the big poster in the back. So I figure we'll continue giving away some of those. Maybe we'll throw in some. I have a huge stash of Tokyo Game Action tokens.
No.
And Fun Spot tokens. Maybe throw a few of those in the envelope. And I'd say keep going with this. There are some of the stuff that I've been looking at getting. Of course, the Nintendo Game Pack cards. There are some really cool Gashapon Super Mario Brothers figures from the 80s.
Mhm.
Where it wouldn't be a complete set, but you can get a complete set for not too much money, so maybe giving away a couple of those in the future, and basically other random arcade related nonsense.
Okay, cool. So, Gerard, I did the code word the last two shows. Do you want to do a code word that the kids can give a reply? The secret, the little orphan Annie secret message.
Well, how about this? Since it's going to be more Donkey Kong cards, what is the name of the main character, the main hero in Donkey Kong?
Ooh.
And it is not Mario.
Yes. And it's not the other Japanese name that he had before they decided to change his name. I forget what the hell the Japanese name was.
I forgot too, but no, it's not that. If you can post, if you can figure that answer out and put it in a comment on the YouTube, on Instagram, on the Facebook page, wherever.
And the Tumblrs.
And the Tumblr, yep, can't forget the Tumblr.
Thank God my phone automatically logs me into Tumblr because I forgot the password. Sorry, Tumblr followers.
But we'll be giving away some more Donkey Kong cards. Maybe instead of... I think I'll do this for next time. Instead of the blind pack, I will put together a set that includes all the game cards. I think there's there's 4 different game cards. So you'll get all 4 game cards and then some of my personal favorite stickers.
There you go. So once again, folks, we want to thank you all very much for listening to the 33rd episode of the Arcade Hunters podcast. As always, you can find us on all your favorite social media sites: Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. We're also on YouTube at YouTube. Look us up, Press Start Comic. We come up Arcade Hunters. We're still on there. So thank you very much for listening. Gerard, you want to say goodbye and we'll close it out for everybody?
Yep. Thank you for listening. It's always a blast. Feel free to write us a review on either, you can do a comment review on with a thumbs up on the, wow, my brain just completely far, on the YouTube. Feel free to write a review on iTunes or post a comment on the website. Also, to the winners of the last prize and any future winners, if you're listening to this, feel free to post selfies with the prizes.
Yes. And reach us at pscvideos@gmail.com and just put in the top who you are, and Gerard will send you out your prize. So, once again...
I was just going to say, if I don't hear, I'll probably send a private message to those people.
Yes, we'll get... If we don't hear from you, you'll hear from us.
Yep.
So, once again, for my pal Gerard, this is Nick for the Arcade Hunters. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys later.